to Disturbing Creations Auto, and I had a little bit of a problem in the old car going out to see the UFC fight last night, 300, but it was worth it. Even though I broke down, I still made it on time because my buddies are so cool. They came and picked me up on the highway, and we got the car home this morning. Now I'm going to show you how to fix it. We had a terrible overheating problem right in the engine. It was almost catastrophic failure, and I think we could have lost our head gasket, but I don't think that we did. Now, in this little 4-cylinder supercharged, it does get hot just like your turbo, so you got to make sure that coolant is always a big thing. I'm going to bring you in a little closer so you can see exactly what happened and how we can fix it. Alright, so let's take a look at what's going on here. One of these things is not like the other. Yep, when you see duct tape in a car, you know that it is a no-go at this station. So this plastic tube right here that feeds coolant through all these little tubes that go into my reservoir here, this plastic tube finally cracked. Now it is right above the exhaust manifold, but there is a heat shield here. But this is a 2003 and it's original, so the part is 21 years old. I can't believe it lasted this long. So the part is 21 years old, it's original OEM, it's plastic, it cracked. It happened. You can see where it dropped coolant all over. It burned it up as soon as it hit the exhaust manifold. Now this is dangerous as well, because if this exhaust manifold gets to 500 and then a little bit of this coolant comes out, that coolant, like 100-degree coolant, hits this 500 and can crack the metal. So I don't see any cracks. We turned it off as soon as it said overheating and I saw some steam. We put just fresh water in it to get it to where it needed to be, and it was dripping, but before it was pouring out. So if you have a little tape, you know, do whatever you can to get the car home, save that money, and then put it in. If you have to pay for a tow, you're looking at $200, $100 for a pickup, and like $4 to $5 a mile. I was 20 miles away. That's another $100 just for the mileage. I'm not doing that. So we are going to take this and get another one. So what do? I already have the part. So this is the part, and we took it off of our other Mercedes engine. I have the exact same engine sitting in the back of the shop because we already had this car once. So this is the plastic piece, and we're gonna have to take it off to see where it's broke, but I think it's broke right along here on the bottom. The plastic just split. Now I did have this extra tube that came with it just in case. You know, I'm gonna save that, but that's not what was broken. So we're going to go ahead and take the one bolt out of here. Now on this car, this was an 8mm bolt. No, this one was an 8mm bolt. But as you can see in this car, let me get a focus. Right down here. Brown piece right there. That brown one right there looks just like that silver one right there. So those are called E-sockets, and you're gonna have to get that E-socket out right there because it's not a regular bolt. You know? So this is a 2003, the other engine's a 2003. I don't know why they're different. Someone could have changed something. I might have changed something on the old engine, but it doesn't matter. The plastic part is still the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that E-socket, E-bolt out there. We're gonna have to unclip it right here. We're gonna have to unclip it right here from the sensor. Now, if your plastic doesn't have the sensors in it, you're gonna have to take the sensors out and then put the sensors back in as well. But ours already has them. Now with Mercedes, it's pretty cool. You just pull the clip off, the whole sensor comes out, you put the sensor in and push the clip in. Same with this. You take the sensor off, and then there's a clip behind here. You see the metal, you pull the clip up, the sensor comes out, and then that's it. The other two sides, there's a worm clip here, so someone's already been in this to probably change that hose. Put a worm clip on there instead of these old old-fashioned. You see that's an OEM. You got to squeeze that clip together. I really hate those. It takes a lot of time. I always pinch my fingers. But a worm clip, you can just unscrew that. So you see the screw right here, and you can just unscrew that, or you can put like sometimes they're a 1/4 inch, sometimes they're 7 or 6 millimeters, depending on the worm clip that you buy, and take that off. But I like that clip a lot easier to work with. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this off right now and compare it to the other one, show you the damage, and then put the new one back on. All right, so now we're just going to use this little extension to point on the car and show you where I'm gonna go. So underneath here was the 10, and it was a 10E socket. I took that out, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull this clip, push this in and pull this clip up, and that releases that one. Then this one, you're gonna pull this little thing up here in the middle, or get a screwdriver, and it'll release this sensor, this connection here. So you've released the sensor, you've released the thing on the bottom. I took the worm clip off already, and now I'm just gonna get a pinch. So there was a worm clip, there's 2 hoses here in the back. So I took the worm clip off of this, and then there's an old school hose right here. I'm gonna pinch that together and then push that off, push this off. And this is pretty much ready to go. I have it taped on, so I'm gonna have to cut the tape so I can move it around a little better to show you. And then we're gonna take the tape off and see what the damage looks like itself under there. But once I take this off, then I can show you exactly a little bit about more. If you have to take the sensor out, I'll show you how to take that out and how to deal with these clips. So I was doing the video so fast, I just want to reiterate that there is a 10 under here and there's a 10 over here. I know I talked about this one a lot underneath, but I don't remember if I mentioned this. So there's a 10 here, a 10 here, 2 sensors, and then 2 hoses. So, and then you can just pull this out, but I just wanted to reiterate. All right, guys. Whew. That little tiny job took a lot out of me. I'm just tired. I didn't get in until 3 o'clock in the morning. Had to leave my car on the side of the road. Didn't want to miss the UFC 300, so like I had my boy come pick me up, drop me back off at my car at like 2 in the morning. Tape this thing up, put some water in it, drive it 20 miles home without it blowing up, and then that's where we're at. But I want you to see what happened. Like I want you to see. Like I'm gonna flip the camera around and I'm gonna show you the 2 pieces now, and you're gonna see the difference. Well, I would say that this is probably going to take me about an hour and a half, because I have to diagnose it. I have to take the top piece off. I have to move some pieces of the car around, and then take the piece out, and then put the piece in. At least an hour for that, to take the piece out, put the piece in, and then I have to bring your car in, take your car out, put the piece back on. So if we can't find labor, I'll do an hour and a half for labor. You guys tell me down below, you think an hour and a half is good for labor for this piece after you watch the video? Leave me a comment and tell me if you think I'm fair, you know? So let's look and see what really happened. So these are the 2 pieces, identical, and they're both a 2003, except this came off of my other engine that only had 100,000 miles on it, and it's been sitting in my shop for 6 years now, since I've had the other car. And look at the crack. I'm pointing at it here with the screwdriver because I wanted to take some pictures, but look, it's exactly down the seam. You see the seam of plastic here where they molded the 2 pieces together. It gets so hot and cold, 240,000 miles, and it just split, and it was just pouring through there. But I knew that this was plastic, and if it wasn't a chunk broke off, I could wrap it like I did with that duct tape, just to get it home. It was still dripping, but I drove 20 miles home and it just started to overheat on the 20th mile. It wasn't like where it popped and then I had like 3 miles and I had to pull over and I lost all the coolant. So now that you can see the differences, we're gonna go ahead and put this piece back in, and then we're gonna go from there. One other thing I wanted to do is show you how to get this off. So you see these are in two different directions. This one's facing this way and this one's facing down. So this is probably the OEM, or this piece might have been changed with the 250,000 miles, and this is probably OEM facing this way. So if you put the sensor in, face it this way, just take the clip out. You see the 2 feet here, you pull the clip out, the sensor comes right out, you put the sensor in, it gets to that nice sitting spot where it can't go in anymore, and then you pop the sensor down through. It should glide right in. Sensor is, it's the same one on this side. You pull it out, put the sensor in, and then go through. And then remember this one, you pull the sensor up, and then you pop the piece out like this one. This one's empty. This one is actually broke off in there, so that was an old piece of plastic. I just left it in there so no bugs would climb in, because this was actually a part of our other engine. I just had to strip this off, so it doesn't matter anymore. I'll take this off, and then what I'll do is I'll just connect the one that we took out of this one. You see how that's nice and fresh, and put it in this one. And then this sensor should work. So we'll just connect the wiring harness right back up to the sensor. But on yours, you're gonna have to take the sensor out of your old one and pop it in the new one, just like I said. Pull this piece of metal up, pull the sensor out, put it in yours, pop the piece of metal down. Make sure that you take the metal clips off. Even if you buy this and it has a good sensor, don't throw your sensor out of the old one. Like, this plastic is trash, we're throwing this out. But this clip is good, and the sensor is good. And even if you don't have a sensor in there and yours came with another clip, keep the backup clip. The clip, once you pull it out, is very fragile. It could bend, break, not go in correctly, or if you drop it in the engine and can't find it, you now have a backup clip as well. So I'm gonna get the new one in, get it all ready. We're gonna get the right coolant in. I'm gonna show you the right coolant to use for Mercedes-Benz, and then we're gonna turn it on and show that it's not leaking anymore. All right, so we just got everything in. Everything's done. Both screws are in on the bottom. Both clamps are done on the hoses. The sensor is put back in, and the clip is put back in over here. And we put the right part back in. Because I've seen people do all this work and they're worried about taping, and they put the old part back in. Now what we're gonna do is you have to put this GO5 phosphate-free formula for Mercedes-Benz in. Do not put green and mix this with the green. It turns into sludge. It will wreck everything in your, you will have to get a total flush in your radiator system. Mercedes says to do this, so do this. But check with, now do your due diligence before you take any coolant, because you could have an older Mercedes or a newer Mercedes, but this is a 2003 Mercedes, and I know all these compressors from, I think it was 2001 to 2005, they came out with this car, they all take this. So if you are doing a compressor C230 with the 1.8 supercharge, you need this special, not the green. All right, there she is. No more leak. Everything's done. That's just some oil for my hand. No more leak. Gotta let it run a little bit to reset itself, because it was running hot. And some of these things are open. I need to tie this stuff back together. All right, guys, so I hope this helped you out. I hope that you could save a couple of bucks. I hope that you appreciate us doing this kind of work, wrapping cars, building cars, doing mechanics, all this. Just hit us up with a like and a subscribe, and to get a little sneak peek of what we're working on next week.